Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about medical astrology and Ceres. And first of all, as far as the body parts and health-related issues that may be connected with Ceres, that it is one of the body parts I'm going to go with first that correspond with Ceres is the stomach, the uterus, and you're talking about also it's connected with nutrition and when you look at and just the food, the assimilation of food, eating, those are the things that are associated with Ceres as far as body parts and things that can be health tied into one's health and possible debilitations associated with one's health. Now when you're looking at first off, we'll look at the sign Ceres is in. Mine is in Aries. Now, as an example, you're talking about, I mean, when the sign that it's in can indicate some issues in some cases associated with the sign it's in, and that, of course, a lot of that could be predicated on aspects and placements. If somebody has their natal Ceres in their first or sixth house, especially, there can be issues that it gives a greater propensity for some physical, some issues associated with Ceres in the sign that it's in. I mean, say if it's in Gemini in the first house or the sixth house, it could be just from eating just a variety of foods and not really, and we'll maybe looking at, I mean, Gemini energy could be very superficial. It could be just kind of glancing at like the ingredients and something and not really assimilating the full information before you assimilate the food. But like with my Ceres is in Aries, and thing about it is there may be that could be an indicator. I mean, the Ceres in Aries by itself may indicate somebody eating perhaps very impatiently, in a hurry, too fast. I've had at least one person say during the course of my life that I eat I really very exceptionally fast, basically. And the thing is, when you eat too fast, of course, that can lead to digestion issues, sometimes obesity. And the thing about, and also heart-related issues, the fact is, and I would say too, I mean, given that I have Ceres and Aries can be, I mean, Ceres could be associated with the stomach. And you're talking about Aries energy. I would say sometimes this could be, if I have any issues with the stomach, they might be very sharp, abrupt pains, given that we're talking about Aries, and Aries being ruled by Mars could be things that have to do with pain that you might have to endure. But the thing is, too, it's also important to look at the house that it falls in, because that could be like the sector of life where it really can, your eating style can really impact you or figure prominently. I mean, especially like if it's in, like I stated before, if it's in the first or the sixth house, you could be looking at some strong health related issues associated with it. Now the thing about it is, like, mine is in the 12th house, so that could indicate right there some limitations and restrictions as far as food consumption, assimilation of food. This could be something too, where when you're looking at this as well, the fact that it's in it's in the house. Interesting that the 12th house is also the house of self-undoing. So I have to be careful that, given that it's in the 12th house of hospitalization, that I really need to be more prudent than most people in terms of my eating habits. And it's also important, and also this is something where you're talking about at this is something too where we were looking at. I've actually had situations that were contentious with one person due to my eating habits. Remember that Aries could be associated with combative energy, combat and fighting. And somebody had criticized me one time about me eating fasting a number of times, and it really led to really heated exchange. And the fact is, given that it's in the 12th house of solitude, seclusion, secret sorrows, it's something that I generally don't talk about, but I'm divulging it now. Uh, Also, it's important to look at the aspects it makes, because when you have, if it's really afflicted, your Ceres, that could be an indicator, greater propensity for issues with the stomach, the uterus, your digestion, your assimilation of food, and matters just with nutrition in general. Now, the thing is, my Ceres, which again can be about eating, it being in Aries, and that's I call very independent, self-reliant eating, and I like it, and it's interesting, again, not to be redundant, but the fact that I have it in the 12th house is an indicator that I like to eat in solitude and seclusion. It makes a tight opposition to my natal Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house of health, interestingly enough. Now, Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house could give a greater, perhaps, a propensity toward hypoglycemia and diabetes. Now, when I was like 14 years old or something, I had been diagnosed with it. I don't know if I have now. I know a lot of the hypoglycemia, I believe, can dissipate over time. A lot of times it's not a sustained or prolonged issue. But the point being, the fact that I have Ceres, I mean, Ceres opposite Jupiter by itself. Ceres in adverse aspect to Jupiter natally, even by itself, regardless of signs, can indicate a gluttonous streak and a greater proclivity toward weight gain, toward obesity, being heavier than average. And the fact that I have the Ceres and Aries about well, this very independent, self-reliant energy, not being wanted to necessarily be told really what I want to eat, and then I have making the opposition to the Jupiter and Libra in the 6th house. Well, the thing about it is there's a conflict of energy there, obviously, because there's that part of me that wants to eat so maybe whatever I want and not let anybody order or drive me, being very independent what I want to eat, and doing so by myself, being in solitude, the 12th house of solitude. I do often go into my room and eat by myself. It's very interesting. The Ceres is a lot more significant than a lot of people give it credit for. And making that opposition to Jupiter, well, the conflict there is the fact that Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house could indicate some issues, again going back to greater proclivity for diabetes, hypoglycemia. So that's where you have the conflict. I'm not really shouldn't just be eating whatever I want to eat, but that is what I do. But I have to be careful because I do have that, again, that opposition with the Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house of health. So you really can't eat just whatever you want, and that could apply to anybody. Really, but it's even more emphasized with me given the nature of the astrological energy and the aspect that it makes these points make to each other. Now, another thing is that when you look at this as well, transits to the natal chart can be significant as well, that involve Ceres, because that could manifest in health-related issues associated with Ceres. Now, on February, I believe it was February 4th, 1983, legendary singer Karen Carpenter, many of you may have heard of her, she died. According to Wikipedia, it was a consequence of that anorexia that she had. Now, at that time, she had transit Ceres and Capricorn in the 8th house of death. Ceres, again, is associated with food. Capricorn, the sign of restrictions, and anorexia, of course, can be associated with food restrictions. And being in the 8th house of death, it made a long, I would call a very loose inconjunct aspect to her natal Pluto in Leo. Of course, inconjuncts can be about health-related issues. She died of something called, I don't know if I'm saying it right, emetine cardiotoxicity, and it was something heart-related. Pluto in Leo, though generational, sometimes can manifest in a death that is heart-related. Now, also, when you look at aspects in that involve Ceres in a progressed chart, can indicate some issues that are Ceres related, such as, again, with the stomach, the uterus, something nutrition related, assimilation of food. Now, the thing about this is that, like, let's take an example. Let's say that somebody in their progressed chart has Ceres making an adverse aspect to their natal Venus. Now, again, Ceres could be about the uterus. Now, it could be, say, if this is a woman's chart, this could be about an issue, and Venus can be about the thyroid. People can have issues with the uterus that can be thyroid related. Venus can be thyroid related. So if you have, like, say, and even, of course, in a natal placement or through a transit, if Ceres is making an adverse aspect to Venus, that could be, if you're a woman, that could be an indicator of possible um, problems with the uterus that could be due to a thyroid issue. And I mean, if you have like Aquarius involved in this, it could be something that's very, it might be kind of like sporadic and erratic. And of course, you got to blend the signs in with that. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.